Welcome back to Pop Flashback. I'm your host, Rick Smalls, and I'm here with Tina Boucher.
Hey, everyone.
Today, we are going back to 1927 to look at a movie that really changed things.
Yeah.
The Jazz Singer.
Mm-hmm.
It's often called the first talkie, but was it really?
Mm-hmm.
And how did this movie revolutionize Hollywood?
You know, The Jazz Singer, it wasn't entirely a talkie how we think of them now.
Right.
It was more like a silent film with a few moments of singing and dialogue.
Oh, wow.
Imagine watching a silent film and then all of a sudden they start talking and singing.
I bet that just blew people's minds back then.
Yeah.
What was it about those few moments of sound that had such a big impact?
It was the emotional connection.
Right.
You know, think about the scene where Al Jolson, who plays the main character, Jack Robin, talks to his mother at the piano.
Right.
It's a simple scene,
Yeah.
but hearing their voices, like their emotions, really brought a new level of realism.
So it wasn't just the novelty of the sound, it was the way it made the story better.
Exactly.
And I think I read it made a lot of money, too.
Oh, yeah.
The Jazz Singer was a huge hit for Warner Bros.
Right.
Became their biggest earner at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly, every studio in Hollywood wanted to get on the sound bandwagon.
Yeah, they did.
So let's talk about the story itself.
Okay.
The film tackles this classic conflict between ambition and tradition, right?
Absolutely. The main character is J.P. Rabinowitz, and he dreams of being a jazz singer.
Okay.
But his father is a cantor,
Oh.
which is a person who leads prayer in a synagogue.
Right.
He wants him to follow in his footsteps
Yeah.
to uphold their traditions. And it's a story that still resonates today,
Yeah,
you know?
Sure.
Following your dreams versus honoring your family's expectations.
I can see how that would have been a big deal in the 1920s.
Yeah,
A time of huge social and cultural change in America.
you got it. It was the time of, flappers, jazz music, shifting values.
Right.
And Jakey's struggle to kind of reconcile his personal ambition with his family's traditions
Yeah.
mirrored what a lot of people were going through in their own lives.
So how does that all play out in the film? Jackie eventually changes his name to Jack Robin, right?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
He embraces his artistic identity and dives headfirst into the world of jazz.
I see.
He even performs in blackface,
Oh.
which is a really, complex and controversial aspect of the film
Yeah,
that we should probably unpack later.
for sure.
Yeah.
So we have Jack trying to make it as a jazz singer,
Mm-hmm.
but his family doesn't approve of it,
Right.
and it really weighs on him.
Yeah.
Where does the story go from there?
So the conflict comes to a head when Jack gets his big break on Broadway.
Oh.
It's everything he's ever dreamed of, but it happens to be the same time his father is very sick.
Oh, wow. So he's got to choose between his career and his family.
Right.
What a dilemma.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, Yom Kippur,
Uh-huh.
the holiest day in the Jewish faith,
Right.
falls on the same night as his big premiere.
Oh, no.
His father expects him to sing the Kol Nidre prayer.
Wow.
It's a really important duty.
So he's torn between his artistic dreams and his religious obligations.
Yeah.
I'm on the edge of my seat. What happens next?
Well, that's where we'll have to pick up after a quick break.
All right, listeners, we're going to pause here and take a deep breath, and we'll be back in a moment to hear about Jack's decision and explore how the jazz singer transformed the world of movies. Hangry.
Hangry. Totally. And we're looking at their online shop today, and it's pretty wild. Got like everything you could think of, from t-shirts and sweatshirts to candles and stickers, and they've got all this stuff with this really fun food-themed kind of spin on it.
Yeah.
It's interesting how they've taken what's a pretty negative emotion and spun it to be something.
To be something good.
Yeah, like something relatable and fun. So before the break, we were talking about Jack and this impossible choice.
Yeah. Did he end up going with his career or his family?
He actually chose family.
Oh, wow.
He decided to honor his father and his faith
Oh,
by singing the Kol Nidre prayer on Yom Kippur.
I bet that was a really powerful moment for both of them.
It was a really moving scene.
Yeah.
You see his father hearing Jack sing from his deathbed.
Oh, wow.
It's this scene of reconciliation, forgiveness.
Yeah.
The film ends with Jack achieving success on Broadway, but you realize his connection to his family and heritage is what really matters.
It's like a reminder that sometimes the biggest successes come from remembering who you are, where you came from.
Exactly. And going back to the impact of The Jazz Singer,
Yeah.
it wasn't just the story. The film's success proved that people would pay to see sound films,
Right.
which led to a lot of studios investing in sound technology.
And that led to the quick switch from silent films to talkies.
Exactly.
It's crazy how fast things change.
Oh, no.
The Jazz Singer comes out in 1927.
Right.
And by 1929, almost all of Hollywood is making talking pictures.
Yeah.
What happened to all those silent film stars?
It was a really tough transition.
Yeah.
Imagine being a silent film star.
Right.
Your entire world, your career,
Mm-hmm.
relied on physical presence and gestures.
Yeah.
But then suddenly your voice, even your accent, become just as important.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really scary for a lot of them.
I bet.
Some were able to adapt, but a lot of them struggled.
Yeah.
And their careers just faded away.
As Hollywood embraced the talkies.
Right. It was a huge shift, not just in the technology,
Wow.
but in acting itself.
And it wasn't just the actors who had to figure things out. Directors had to learn how to use sound to tell stories in completely new ways.
Exactly. And just imagine the technical challenges.
Yeah.
Early microphones were huge.
Uh-huh.
Really limited what the actors could do on set.
Wow.
So directors had to come up with new filming techniques and styles to work around all that.
It was a time of so much change and experimentation.
It really was.
So the Jazz Singer didn't just change movies.
Yeah.
It changed how they were made.
Exactly.
And I think its impact goes beyond the technical stuff.
Uh-huh.
The Jazz Singer really brought in this new era of musicals.
We did.
People were just captivated by hearing actors singing and dancing on screen.
Yeah, they loved it.
It's like it opened up a whole new world of storytelling.
It really did. And don't forget about the cultural impact.
Right.
By the early 1930s, talking pictures were a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
It changed how people were entertained.
It's wild to think that one film could have such a big impact around the world.
It really shows the power of innovation and how one moment can completely change an industry and even culture itself.
We've talked about all the technical advancements and the impact on people's careers and culture, but what about the film's legacy?
Yeah.
Does the Jazz Singer still hold up today?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
You know, despite its flaws, especially the blackface,
Right.
which is really offensive and just not okay today.
Yeah.
The Jazz Singer still has these themes that connect with people today.
Like
the struggle between tradition and being modern, the desire to chase your dreams, the ups and downs of family relationships.
very relatable stuff.
These are timeless themes, and they're explored in a way that makes the Jazz Singer more than just a piece of history. It can still move and engage audiences, even if we have to look at it critically.
So even though the Jazz Singer is almost 100 years old,
Yeah.
its impact on storytelling is still here.
Exactly. It shows that great stories tap into something fundamental about being human, something that stays relevant no matter how much technology or culture changes.
It's really amazing how quickly Hollywood changed because of the Jazz Singer.
Yeah. In just a couple of years, everything was different.
Like the whole industry went through a total transformation.
It really did.
And I imagine there were some bumps along the way.
Oh, for sure there were.
We already talked about how some silent film stars had a tough time adapting to the talkies.
Right.
But I bet there were some actors and directors who loved this new way of making movies.
Absolutely. It was a great opportunity for new talent to come in.
Yeah. Actors with great voices were suddenly super important.
Exactly.
But it was an exciting time to be in Hollywood.
It was. So much new talent and innovation.
But the shift to sound probably changed more than just the creative side of things.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What do you mean? Well, think about the cost of sound technology. Studios had to invest in new equipment and sound stages.
Okay.
And they needed people who knew how to use it all.
This gave the bigger studios a huge advantage.
Because they could afford it.
Exactly.
So the Jazz Singer actually made the major studios even more powerful.
It did. The smaller studios couldn't really compete.
Wow. So one film really impacted the entire structure of Hollywood.
It really shows you how innovation can have these huge ripple effects.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything when it comes to the Jazz Singer.
That's a fascinating story.
From its historical significance to its lasting legacy, it's clear this film was a major turning point.
It really changed entertainment as we know it.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of Pop Flashback. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the Jazz Singer and the beginning of the talkies.
Thanks for joining us.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode.
We'll have another deep dive into pop culture history for you then.
See you next time.